Welcome back to Fifth Block Sports. It is Friday, December 2nd. I'm here again with Jalen and Ashton. The first thing we're going to cap off is we did a pick 'em in week 1. Let's go over those records. I find myself tied with Ashton up top at 8-2. Jalen not far behind with a 7-3 record. That's pretty good for our first round, I think. I mean, 8-2 and 7-3. I'll take that any day. Yep. Yeah, we have a jam-packed show today, so let's go ahead and jump right into it. First off, like we did last week, we're going to recap Thursday Night Football. We had Bills versus Patriots. Jalen, you want to start with this game?
Yeah, I'll start. That boy Josh Allen went crazy. He had 2 touchdowns, 223 passing yards. Hey, we just finna go out of bounds. He hit it with a crossbody. That was a nice pass, not going to lie. Mac Jones didn't really have a bad game. 195 and a touchdown. Not a bad game for Mac Jones.
Ashton, what did you see out of that game?
I think the Bills kind of just dominated throughout the game. It was just the Bills from start to end.
That's what I had down in my notes. I said just Bills doing Bills things. It seemed like a get-right game for Josh Allen. I know the past couple of weeks he's been, sack prone. He's thrown a couple interceptions. They've been in some close games, but he looked good last night. I think, Jalen, you nailed that on the head. He looked pretty good. I did note this was the first team that's owned the Patriots in the past 3 games. Bill Belichick's known for scheming against teams and not letting them get to them 2 or 3 times, but the Bills have owned the Patriots in the regular season and in the playoffs. So again, I mean, everyone was hoped for an exciting matchup, but it was really Bills all the way through. I think what ended up being 24-10, and I think it was 24-7 for most of that game. I mean, I don't think Bills were ever stunned. I know Patriots got that early touchdown, but again, a long kind of odd play. But yeah, Bills doing Bills things. They look like another team that the Chiefs are going to have to, keep an eye on as we move towards the playoffs. Speaking of playoffs, we're going to jump right into college football. Like I said, jam-packed show. We're going to keep things rolling. College football, conference championships are here. Playoffs are here. Let's go through some conference championship matchups real quick. We have Georgia and LSU in the SEC. I think, Georgia should roll here. What do you guys think?
Yeah, I think Georgia should take it, but I feel like LSU got a really good defense, but Georgia should take it.
Yeah, I think Georgia should take it, but LSU, I think they can upset. Honestly, I do. I think Georgia might. They kind of been struggling a little bit. I don't know if maybe they're not going full force because they do have LSU in the conference championship and they're trying to save themselves for the playoffs. But I wouldn't be kind of shocked if LSU wins because I know they lost last week, but whenever I saw that, I was like, how much effort are they really putting in? Because there's no point. They probably weren't going to make the playoffs even if they win this game. And they're out of it now, officially. So they just got to go in and win. They don't, and that's all I get.
Yeah, I mean, LSU has nothing to lose here. Like you said, they're kind of out of the playoffs with that loss last week. So, why not go and upset Georgia? We have Michigan, Purdue. Michigan with a huge win over Ohio State last week. They face a Purdue team who's got 3 losses on the year. I see Michigan kind of having no problem. Although they do lose their running back, Blake Corum, to knee injury. He's having surgery, so he's out for the year. But again, I don't think Michigan should have any problems with Purdue.
Yeah, I don't think Michigan should have a problem with Purdue either because, Ohio State, one of the top teams, and they beat them. They just get them bad.
Yeah.
So I don't think Michigan really has a problem.
I think Michigan should be fine. They got Blake Corum didn't play last week, but Donovan Edwards did, so, and he
ran the ball good. Well, yes. Ashton, you have USC and Utah. They played tonight. USC kind of earning that 4th spot in the college football playoffs. Caleb Williams, their quarterback, is playing unbelievably right now.
Over 100 rushing yards.
100 rushing yards, over 200 passing yards. I mean, he was electric against Notre Dame. Ashton, what do you see out of this game, USC, Utah?
I see USC. Caleb Williams is unstoppable at the moment. I think if Kyle Murray was 6'1", that's Caleb Williams. If Kyle Murray was 6'1", Caleb Williams is easily the first pick in the draft next year.
And I know amazing. Utah did upset USC earlier in the year. It was at Utah, so maybe that neutral site will give. And I agree. I think USC is rolling right now. Caleb Williams is playing well.
I think Caleb Williams might be a top Heisman winner because CJ
There's-
Stroud didn't really have a good game last week, so I think Caleb Williams probably took that spot.
And Drake May and the North Carolina, I think they might have lost actually.
They lost in overtime to NC State. That's right. Yes.
So Caleb Williams is this year. There hasn't been a number one, just like kind of in college football in general. There hasn't been a clear cut number one, kind of besides Georgia. But there's not like an elite team.
I feel like Caleb Williams has great chemistry with his coach because he's been with him for a while now since he went over there with him.
Most definitely transferring from Oklahoma to USC. Next game, Big 12 championship. We have K-State versus TCU. This is one, TCU sitting at 3 in the polls. K-State sitting at 10. I want to kind of turn this not to who's going to win this game, but if K-State wins this game somehow, are they in the college football playoff sitting at 10? Or do you feel like, even if TCU loses this, do they stay in at that 4?
I don't know. I feel like that TCU defense, they give up a lot of points, but they still come out with the win. So it really, K-State I feel like they can do it, but TCU defense really, they give up a lot of points.
And I see Ashton's in his K-State hoodie today, so I'm pretty confident he's going to ride with the Wildcats in this game. K-State's had a remarkable season of just finding a way to win games. Doesn't matter who's at quarterback. I know it's kind of been a carousel from game to game, but they get the job done. Ashton, what do you see if K-State wins this game? Do they have enough to sneak in that playoff?
Sadly, no. I think if LSU are gonna win, it can't not put LSU in. And we haven't lost to terrible teams. Like, there's not one bad team we lost to. We lost to Tulane, we lost to Texas, and we lost to TCU. So those are good teams, but LSU, it's not like, the teams LSU lost to. Mm-hmm. But Kansas State, we're winning. We're winning on Saturday.
There we go. The two other conference championship games really don't have playoff implications. We have UCF versus Tulane. Great story for Tulane this year. They've really kind of turned that program around and have been ranked basically consistently all season. And then we have North Carolina versus Clemson. Again, Clemson losing last week kind of dashed their hopes of a playoff. So again, those games are, keeping on the radar. My question, and we'll ask the peanut gallery as well here in a second, if, this whole thing could be a mess here, is there a way that an Ohio State or an Alabama somehow makes it in? So, you have a LSU team who has 3 losses on the season.
I feel like Alabama really picked it up like the past couple of weeks, so I feel like they can get in front of Ohio State because they have picked it up the last couple of weeks.
I think Georgia and Michigan are locked.
Mm-hmm.
And I think TCU, if they lose, which they will, and USC, if they lose, are out. And then I think...
Does that bring in an Ohio State and an Alabama?
Ohio State and Alabama. Even though, say if USC and TCU lose, or if USC and TCU are going to lose, I think in LSU wins, I think you put LSU and Ohio State in.
Interesting. Let's flip it over to our peanut gallery. We have Chicozy here with us. Chicozy, say LSU somehow beats Georgia. Are you taking Ohio State or are you taking Alabama to the playoff? Chicozy goes with Alabama. And to that point, you look at Alabama's schedule. They have 2 losses on the year. They lost to Tennessee on a last-second field goal. And then they lost to, who's their second loss to? It was someone else at...
Bama?
Yeah. Tennessee
LSU.
and LSU
Yeah.
on the 2-point conversion. So both, into the game scenarios, it wasn't like they got blown out. It wasn't a Michigan thumping of Ohio State. Bama just finds ways to stay in a game, and I would most definitely take Alabama over Ohio State at this point, especially how Ohio State played last week against Michigan and 2 years in a row getting blown out. I think Alabama's a more complete team, so, it could be set in stone that we see Georgia, Michigan, TCU, USC. If TCU and USC win, they're in. And if Georgia continues to be Georgia, and I don't think Michigan loses, those 4 are kind of locked in.
Alabama, though, this is like one of the worst Alabama teams I've ever seen. Like,
It has been a little off.
The wide receiver group, like, knowing what they're capable of and what I remember, like, this is a terrible wide receiver group. The cornerback room is terrible. I don't know why or how this team got so bad.
And the crazy thing to put things in perspective, too, with, we bring up, and I know a lot of talks have been, this is kind of the worst Alabama team we've seen in a while. They're still 6th in the country. It's crazy how much,
Usually number
how
one.
dominant they've
Yeah.
been, where, 6 in the country and not making the playoff is a huge letdown. And, like, is Saban kind of losing his mind? Stuff like that.
Well, I also think a lot of other teams, they haven't been, like I said, there's not an elite team in college football there. There's not, like, in 2020, Bama, or last year, Georgia. You kind of knew, like, Georgia was the elite team. But even though Georgia's undefeated, they're not elite.
Mm-hmm.
Like, there's a very... All these top four teams, there's a route where I see they beat Georgia.
But I always see like Georgia always has a good defense. Like last year they had a good defense. This year they have a good defense. So
They're definitely building something under Kirby Smart over there. Let's jump to the hardwood. We'll stay in college sports, but we'll jump over to the basketball side. I know basketball just got started. 2 notes I have, look out for Mizzou. They're 8-0. We have a new coach. I'm a Missouri fan, so I'm biased here. We're 8-0. Now 9-0, I believe, with the win over Wichita State. That was our first road test, but again, you got games against KU, Illinois, Kentucky, and Arkansas, all back-to-back. So that'll be a true test. I know that Coach Gates, new coach this year out of Cleveland State, he's got these guys rocking. And the other note I had was just early season. I've watched a few Houston games. They're kind of a dark horse. They are ranked number 1 right now, so I think they're getting more attention. But, they could be for real. They have an elite defense. They're giving up under 50 points a game. They run, Samson's kind of zone trap. They're long. They're athletic. I'm going to pick them as kind of making a deep run in the tournament. What have you guys seen so far this early college basketball season?
I think Texas beat Creighton yesterday.
Yes,
So
Texas did beat
that's
Creighton.
a big win for them. And I know you're talking about Mizzou, so I'm going to be biased too. K-State. We took our first loss of the Tim Hag era, or the Jerome Tang era. On Wednesday, I think, against Butler, and it was at Butler.
Okay.
And I'm going to the K-State Nebraska game that's coming here to Kansas City.
Nice.
I think we got a good future. We got a top 20 class right now, I think. We got 2 4-stars and then a 3-star. Like all 3 of those guys that we were recruiting this year, they're top 25 all-time recruits like that we've ever had. So we're building he's building something really nice at K-State.
Building.
And also something I've noticed, recruiting wise, Kansas they fell off this year a little bit. They're not like
They're not that elite team
Yeah.
we're used to seeing. Yes.
Yeah, I think also I was watching one of the earlier games. They were losing, or they almost lost to like Southern Utah. I think it was some no name like community college. So I think college basketball is going to be open this year because I think Duke and Kentucky are also struggling this year.
Yeah, and I have noticed a lot of those top 10 teams are expanding and playing each other, wanting that early season experience. So I agree. I think it's going to be kind of anyone's game once it gets down to the tournament. It's just who's going to show up and who can make that run. We'll jump in now to kind of some NFL games, some breakdown. We'll let Jalen kick things off with the Chiefs versus Rams breakdown. Jalen, what do you see from that game?
Like we was talking about the other day, I saw you was talking about how you think the Chiefs and Rams game was a preseason game. I really think it was too. I really think the Rams had like backup quarterback, a 3rd-string quarterback. So the only way the Rams was in it because their defense is still good. But Mahomes, I don't think he really looked himself that game. That throw in the end zones where it was a pick. I don't think Mahomes really looked himself. But I like the Isaiah Pacheco. We played Ronald Jones. I like that. And I think our defense is really coming together. Not gonna lie, Jerry Sneed with a pick. Nick Bolden had a pick. Chris Jones, he does his thing, gets sacks. But I think our defense is really coming together.
I say defense is playing well right now. The note I had is, Sky Moore's punt return days, I think, are over in Kansas City. Coach Reed made a comment on that. But on the flip side of that, he made multiple catches on 3rd down to keep drives alive. So it's good to see him kind of finding other roles. I think start of the season, he was that was his designated role, was that punt return guy. And then with the muff punt issue, it's good to see him finding his spot in the wide receiver room. Ashton, who would you like to see back there? I know we have Mecole Hardman. He's on IR. Who do you want to see kind of returning punts for the foreseeable future?
I don't really know. It's one of those. It's the weirdest position because it's like that's our hardest to figure out position. Is our punt returner.
I feel like Justin Watson did pretty good when
all right coming in there, yeah.
But I feel like him as like an actual returner. I feel like he could just go out back there and catch the ball. Like I'm okay with that. But
Yeah.
like, I don't know.
I don't think it was Scott Moore's spot to begin with, as coming in as a punt returner. I don't think it was his
Yeah.
kind of
And
spot.
I think our best candidates are all injured right now. Like McCole
Yep.
Hardman, Kadarius Toney.
Yep. Yeah, but kind of like Jalen said, I felt like the Chiefs kind of treated this as a preseason game. They knew they could win this game with the Rams struggling on offense. They wanted to keep it close enough to be competitive, but yet not show too much, but also kind of try some things to make teams think about, the double pass back and Mahomes looking to scramble or throw. But again,
He played with Scott Moore.
Yeah.
And he threw it back to Patrick Mahomes.
Exactly. But anytime you go 1 for 6 in the red zone, that kind of raises an eyebrow of like, oh, guys, come on, like we could easily put this game away. But hopefully, that's just working out some kinks and trying to keep a game close and not give away too much as we head into the playoffs.
Jalen Ramsey, he was struggling. Man.
He was.
That was shocking.
He struggled on the tight end, but Travis Kelce, he's just different.
Dude's an animal. The other game, we have 2 other games we want to talk about. We had Jags-Ravens. My note there, what a great drive by the Jags late. Lawrenson's playing well. Doug Peterson's got him rolling. Travis Etienne goes out of this game with an injury early, so they couldn't rely on their run game. They've kept all their games close. Even against Kansas City, we had a hard time putting them away. They fought back. This is a sneaky team. I think in the future, add a couple more pieces. Their defense is starting to shape up a little bit. Give these rookies a little more time. What do you guys think about that last call there? Was his shin inbounds for the touchdown? Or should the Ravens kind of walked away with this one?
I mean, it really depends, but I don't know. I really don't know.
It was kind of an odd play that I know a lot of people are talking about. Like, was he in? Was he out?
Yeah.
I mean, but props to Jacksonville. I mean, you got to work the ball down the field and give yourself a chance to score, and that's exactly what they did.
But I feel like Trevor Lawrence is starting to adapt in the NFL, the NFL right now. He's starting to, really know what the coverages are. Starting to, he had that 1 minute drive. He had to go score against the Ravens, and he did it.
Let's see. The Ravens lose another lead late. That's kind of been their mantra this year. I've seen those graphics. It's 5 or 6 games where, they were up on the Giants. They were up on the Dolphins. They were up on Buffalo big at halftime. Ashton, can Lamar Jackson put a game away when needed, or is this kind of his Achilles heel that he can't close out games?
I think he can. I think it's just, I don't know, it's just the Ravens. That's just how they are. We'll get into it when we talk about the Ravens and Broncos game. But, the Ravens are the easiest team to upset. And as far as the playoff contenders, they're the easiest team to upset for any, bad team. Mm-hmm. So I think every single game they play is, it's kind of a watchable game. I think Lamar just... It's kind of during the Giants game too. He just makes some stupid decisions sometimes, but he's still a really good quarterback. He's still a really good quarterback. And I just think he just makes some dumb decisions, and I think it's more of coaching needs to kind of take control of it. And I mean, I don't know why you would even put Lamar in a case where he can screw it up. Just hand off the ball.
Yep.
That's all you gotta do. That's what the Ravens normally do anyway. Just hand off the ball, run out the clock.
I'm going to let Jalen talk about this Raiders-Seahawks game. What a finish. What a wild game. Jalen, provide us with some stats, a little background on this one.
Josh Jacobs just went crazy that game. 229 rush yards, 303 scrimmage yards. He ended off overtime with an 86-yard touchdown to let the Raiders win the game. But what a crazy game Josh Jacobs had.
I watched this one on Red Zone, and I feel like every 5 minutes someone was scoring in that game.
Yeah,
it was just back and forth the whole time. Did you guys notice so early, I think it was literally the first drive, Derek Carr throws an interception. Mm-hmm. Seahawks are returning it, and I saw this clip later on Twitter. On the Seahawks interception, a player from the sideline actually ran onto the field. They had 12 guys on the field. He kind of looked like he was celebrating for a second and then realized the play was still going on and just kind of ran with everyone. I don't know.
I'm surprised the refs didn't catch that.
Yeah, that was kind of odd.
That was crazy.
Kind of odd.
Yeah, I think the Raiders, it's at times you see what they could be, but they don't show it every week. I think if they would show this every week, they'd be... I wouldn't say they'd be contending with us. I still think we're better. but they would be in the wild card for sure. But I don't know where these Raiders are every week. And there's like the Raiders against the Broncos earlier in the year, or the Raiders against the Broncos again. Like there's these times they show, or the first half Raiders against us. Like these times they just show flashes, but they're never consistent.
There you go. Before we get into the Pick'em segment to kind of wrap up our show, I do have two other special guests with me today. I have Van and Edgar. They're our soccer guys. They play soccer here at Oak Park, so we're going to go through a little World Cup preview. I know USA has a big match tomorrow. Peanut Gallery and Gracie's here as well. She plays soccer. I completely forgot about you, Gracie. Sorry about that. Who do you guys got? U.S., Netherlands? Are we riding with the United States, or is Netherlands too much of a powerhouse?
USA.
Netherlands.
We got 2 USAs, 1 Netherlands, and then from our Peanut Gallery, who's your pick to win the World Cup this year? Are there any teams sticking out? Can USA make a run? Something special, or is it going to be a chalk? And is France or England going to pull one off and win one?
Japan.
Ashton comes out of left field with a Japan call. All right.
I'm going to go with Portugal. I would love to see Portugal win. They have young athletes.
I want to
young
see
everything. And then their strongest leader, Ronaldo. He said if he wins, he's going to retire.
I was gonna say it'd be nice for Ronaldo to get a World Cup and go out on top. Gracie, what do you got?
I feel like it's either going to come down to France or Brazil.
Brazil's very strong. They're very deep. Hopefully Neymar can get back on the field. His ankle didn't look too good, but like we said, they're a deep team. They've got players to fill those roles, and they've shown that. Van, who's your pick to win the World Cup?
I want USA to win.
USA all the way. I agree with Van. Why not? It could be us. Why not? And then you're going with Japan?
No, I think I'd love to see Argentina win because I think Messi's retiring after this year. So I think it'd be cool to see Argentina win, but
Yeah.
I think it's probably going to be Brazil.
I think they had a slip up in their first game, but they kind of found their stride in Argentina. Again, Argentina, Portugal, France, it's really going to come down to who shows up and who plays well. We've had some odd scores the past couple of days with, Germany getting knocked out of the World Cup, Mexico getting knocked out, Belgium getting knocked out. There's a lot of teams that were expected to move on that just couldn't get it done in the group stages. But, who knows? So tune in to that game. Those games start tomorrow, and USA plays in the morning. Hopefully we can get it done and move on to the quarterfinals. And now for our favorite segment of the show, to remind everyone, myself, I went 8-2 last week. Ashton sitting at 8-2, and Jalen's not far behind at 7-3. It is our Pick'em segment. We'll start first with Steelers at Falcons. Guys, I got Steelers. They somehow find a way to win this game. Falcons are sneaky. I liked what I saw of the Steelers Monday night against the Colts. I think they're kind of turning over and kind of really their offense is really starting to click. Ashton, I'll start with you. Who do you got?
I got the Steelers. I think the Steelers are kind of putting together something, and the Falcons. I just think they're I don't know. It's just they're such a weird team. I don't really know what to do with them or say about them.
You don't know which Falcons are going to show up every week. They look good at times, but then times it's like this is an NFL football team right now. Jalen, who you got on that one?
I got Steelers. Steelers been going crazy. Like George Pickens, he has been playing really good, and Kenny Pickens has been playing really good. But I feel like the Falcons are a sneaky team too. They could come out with the win. You never know. But I got Steelers.
So we're going Steelers across the board there. The next one is Packers at Bears. Ashton, who do you got?
I know I wrote down Packers, but I just saw Fields is going to play and he's healthy, so I'm going Bears.
He's going back on his word. He's taking Bears.
Packers. I mean, it's not. I trust the Bears, and they're at Chicago. And I just think maybe this year this time is the time for the Bears to finally beat the Packers.
I feel like the Packers might win. Like when Aaron Rodgers got in and Jordan Love came in, he didn't do too bad. He went 6 for 9, 110 yards, threw a touchdown. Christian Watson, I really like that rookie. Christian Watson, he's actually pretty good. But I got the Packers in this one.
I have the Pack as well. I made this pick before the Justin Fields news, but you know what? I'm going to stick with it. I'm going to go with the Packers. Who knows going to be at their quarterback is if it's Aaron Rodgers, if it's Jordan Love. But I think they somehow find a way because that Bears defense is struggling. Next game we have is Jags at Lions. I I'm taking the Jags. The Jags are right there. You know what? Yeah, I'm gonna flip my pick. I'm gonna take the Jags.
I take the Jags too. Last week they didn't. They came back. 1 minute left. Trevor Lawrence has the ball in his hand. Came back to score. Came back to win the game. Yeah, I'll take the Jags in this one.
I'm really excited about this game. This game's gonna be really good. These are two teams that fight a
Mm-hmm.
lot.
Mm-hmm.
But I am gonna stick with the Lions. I think the Lions are gonna get it. I think the fight they showed against the Bills and the fight they continue to show basically every week. I don't think anyone can really. It's a Dan Campbell team. You can
Yeah.
see if you watch training camps, you can see why they do it. It's
Definitely.
They've played just like their head coach, and they played for their head coach more
yeah.
than anyone in the NFL.
Yep, and I think they finally kind of bought into that system, and it's paying off for them. Next game, we have Jets at Vikings. I'm just going to say it. Jets. Jets. The Vikings, came out hot. I think they're struggling as of late. The Jets might have found their guy in Mike White, just changing the offense up. I'm going to take the Jets.
I take the Jets too. Like you said, Mike White, he didn't really have a bad game last week. But the thing with the Vikings is Kirk Cousins, he only has one target. I feel like you got to find more people. You can't just throw to Jay Jettas the whole time.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you still have good other receivers. You still have Adam Thielen.
T.J. Hawkinson,
the tight end T.J. Hawkinson.
KJ Osborne.
Yeah, KJ Osborne. Like, you can't just throw to one person.
I'm going Vikings. The Vikings, with Kirk Cousins as their quarterback, they won a primetime game last week. I don't know how they come off that game against the Jets and don't win, and they're home. And I still I know the last time I chose the Vikings it didn't work out, but I'm gonna stick with the Vikings. I think they're gonna get it this week.
Our next game up, we have Commanders at Giants. I love this Commanders team. They're remind me a lot of the Lions. They just never give up. Taylor Heineke just does what he does back there. The Giants, I think, are on a free fall. They start off hot again, but I think the wear and tear of Saquon and Daniel Jones's lack of a throwing game kind of bites them, and the Commanders find a way to win, and they get Chase Young back this week, I believe. So it'll be good to see him on the field. I'm going Commanders.
Yeah, I pick Commanders too. They, like you said, they got Chase Young back. I really feel like that defense is coming together. And Tyler Heineke, first half he does bad, but second half he really comes out and does his thing.
According to ESPN, Young's listed as questionable.
Oh,
So, but still, I chose the Giants. I was the outliner. I'm gonna stick with them. I think last week they showed they were not bad. I think they had some bad calls against them that could have maybe turned the game their way. So I honestly see the Giants coming out with this. They're in New York. The Commanders, I'm kind of a Commanders hater. I don't think they're that good. I just think they have a good they have good names on defense. They have a good defensive line.
mm-hmm.
That's kind of it. I'm gonna stick with the Giants and say they're gonna get it.
There we go. Next game is Titans at Eagles. My notes here, I took the Titans. I think they're going to muddy this game up enough. They're going to run stop and kind of prevent Jalen Hurts from scrambling after that big game last week. And I think Derrick Henry is just going to be a little too much. They're going to try to control this clock, and they're going to somehow find a way to win this game.
Yeah, I say Titans too. Two physical football teams. I feel like it depends on like the front line. If D-line can stop the run, then I feel like I don't think the Eagles, they just got to pass the ball. But it all depends on the front guys up there. If they can do their thing, then I feel like the Titans come out with a win.
I'm going Eagles. I think they're one of the best teams in football, and I don't see the Titans really winning this week. I don't know. They're just not. They don't have on offensive wise. They don't have that guy that besides Derrick Henry. But last week the Bengals, they did a good job of stopping them.
Mm-hmm.
So I think and the Eagles' defense, their pieces, in my opinion, are better. So I think they can do just as good, or you don't have to do just as good. If you can hold Derrick Henry to 50 yards, 60 yards, that's a good day.
Yep.
I mean, the Eagles really couldn't stop Aaron Jones when they played him last week, so I feel like they're gonna have a hard time against Derrick Henry.
Our next game, I'll start with Ashton on this one. Broncos at Ravens.
I'm gonna go with the Ravens. I just don't see the Broncos. I don't see them beating anyone really besides the Texans maybe. They're a terrible team. I think Depending on how this week goes, maybe next week you look into maybe benching Russell.
I think so.
I pick Ravens because I feel like the Broncos just haven't been that team. But I feel like if the Ravens can close the game out, they can win this game.
I have Ravens as well. My notes here. Sorry, Broncos. You're bad. You're not it this year. And I agree with Ashton. I think if you lose this game, maybe look into benching Russell Wilson. And maybe it's good for him. Just reset. Settle in Denver. Kind of get used to things. Wash yourself this year and be ready to go next year. Next game, Browns at Texans. This is Deshaun Watson's return to Houston, return to the NFL after his suspension. I have Browns written down here. This was a tough one for me because they're not a great football team. However, they do still have Nick Chubb, and the Texans do not stop the run well. I'm going to stay with Browns.
I picked Texans. I feel like the Texans could upset the Browns because I feel like the Texans' running game is really good. Damian Pierce. I feel like they consistently run the ball and put in play actions. I feel like they can come out with a win.
I'm gonna go with the Browns. I even if Deshaun Watson wasn't playing, I still think if it was Jacoby Brissett, I'd still go with the Browns. Texans just aren't a good football team. I just think the Browns are gonna get it.
Do you think Deshaun Watson in this game has a short leash? I mean, Jacoby Brissett hasn't played that bad all year. I mean, he's a competent quarterback. I know he's a lifelong kind of backup in that role, but 2 or 3 drives in, if Deshaun Watson isn't moving the ball, do you switch back to Brissett or do you let Watson kind of struggle and figure it out?
I feel like he's gonna be rusty because he haven't played in a minute. So I feel like we just gonna see in the first half and the second half they might put Jacoby Brissett back in. But yeah.
I think they'll probably just stick with Deshaun. I think a big thing, it's not about necessarily play, it's the money they're giving him. And it's not like the Browns have been, like they're, over 500. They're in a wild card spot or leading the division. Like they don't have a good record, and they paid Deshaun a ton of money, so they got to play him. It's kind of like how the only reason why the Broncos are playing Russell right now is because of how much money they paid him. They have to maybe see if it works.
Our next game, we have Seahawks at Rams. I have the Seahawks in this one. I put the Rams are toast. They're so beat up on both sides of the ball. Their defense is struggling. I know there was news with Aaron Donald with an ankle injury as well. I don't know if he'll play. But, Seahawks look good. I think the Seahawks kind of control this one. I know this is a rivalry that gets some hype every year, but I do have the Seahawks in this one.
I take Seahawks in this one. They came off a overtime loss. I feel like they're gonna come back and win this one. Like you said, the Rams are really beat up. No Cooper Kupp. I don't know if they're gonna start Matthew Stafford this week. Like you said, they're really beat up.
I'm gonna go to Seahawks too. The Rams are just beat up. Even though I think Bryce Burgers, he didn't play terrible last week.
He didn't.
I thought he was kind of decent for a starter. For his first time start. I just think the Seahawks they'll be very motivated to come into Los Angeles and win. It's going to be it's a division game. It's a get right game. So I think the Seahawks will get it.
Our next game is pretty interesting. We have Dolphins at 49ers. What I have here is Miami plays that Shanahan style offense, but they've supercharged it with Tyreek Hill and Jalen Waddle. They've got 2 very explosive guys on the outside. Now, not saying 49ers don't, but it's just hard to match the speed and athleticism that those 2 guys bring. For that reason, I think the Dolphins find a way to win. I think this one's going to be a high-scoring game, although the 49ers defense has given up 0 points in the last, 3 games in the second half. So it'll be interesting to see, but I think Miami, they've scored 30-plus points in 4 straight games, maybe 5 straight games now. So, I'm going to take the Dolphins.
I took the 49ers. Like, the 49ers defense, their pass rush is always getting there. Nick Bosa, he's getting there. And their offense is not doing too bad. Jimmy Garoppolo looks like he's been playing really good. And Debo just looks like Debo. So I take the 49ers in this one.
I think I'm going to go with the Dolphins because I'm looking at the injury report right now, and it's saying McCaffrey was limited yesterday, and Debo did not practice at all yesterday, and Elijah Mitchell is out. So I think those are three of their most important players on offense, and if you don't have them, I think the Miami will get it. Even though Teron Armstead is doubtful this week, which is very big.
Brandon Ayuk is still good.
Brandon Ayuk is good, but I don't. It's like every year it's kind of like Brandon Ayuk to everyone like most underrated wide receiver or like wide receiver that could break out, and it's like even the games Debo didn't play this year or last year he doesn't get really used a whole lot. So I still am going to go with Miami, but I definitely think the 49ers have a very strong chance to win this game.
Forgot about George Kittle.
He does his thing week in and week out.
I'm kind of a Jimmy Garoppolo hater. I don't think he's that good.
Our next one's the big one here in Kansas City. We have Chiefs at Bengals. Our Chiefs are on the road. My notes here, I think Chiefs are going to win. They'll find a way to win this game. Mahomes will have 300-plus yards for the sixth straight game. I think our defense is going to step up again as well. I know there's a lot of talk this game. Last time we faced the Bengals, it was a bittersweet ending. Mahomes said it himself. He played like crap in the second half and cost the Chiefs a chance at going to the Super Bowl. Again, that's a game at home. So on the road, I think we're prepared. We want to, remind the Bengals who we are, who the Chiefs are, and I don't think we drop this game. I'm taking the Chiefs.
Yeah, I feel like I take the Chiefs too, but it might be a high-scoring game because, like I said, last year Jamar Chase just tortured us.
Mm-hmm.
But I feel like our cornerback room is way better, bringing in a lot of rookies that's actually playing pretty good. L'Jarius Sneed is playing at his best, highest level he could play at. Yeah, I take the Chiefs in this one. Like, if we get back Kadarius or Jerry McKinnon or third down running back, I got the Chiefs in this one.
I'm going Chiefs. I'd love to see Ronald Jones used more. I think he was used a little bit and he wasn't bad in what he was used. So I think it'd be cool to see him used more.
And I think McKinnon being questionable may lead to that Ronald Jones seeing the field a little bit more.
I do like our DB faces wide receiver matchup.
Mm-hmm.
I think really no matter who we put on him, like L'Jarius or Trent, I think it's probably going to be Trent. I think, but no matter what, even if we put L'Jarius, I'm confident in that they can at least hold him to something because it is going to be Jamar's first game back. Mm-hmm. So I think the Chiefs are going to get it.
Yeah, it will be interesting to see who they put on. That's a good point because you think, okay, Sneed's playing well, let's put Sneed on Chase. But Sneed also comes off the edge and provides pressure to the quarterback a lot. So maybe they don't put him on him because, if he's supposed to blitz, that might be a tell sign that we're blitzing if he comes off Jamar. So maybe they throw out McDuffie out there and let him do his thing. The rookie has been playing well. Peanut Gallery, who you got? Chiefs, Bengals. What are our picks? We'll go around. Because he's really thinking about this one.
Bengals.
He's taking the Bengals.
Chiefs.
Bengals. Chiefs. So a split room here. We have 2 for the Chiefs, 2 for the Bengals, and then us 3. We're gonna ride with the Chiefs. Next game we have Chargers at Raiders. Another close game. I think emotions are high after both teams won late. The Chargers winning it on a 2-point conversion as time expires, and the Raiders winning in overtime last week. I've got the Chargers in this one. I know the Raiders are kind of starting to feel themselves. Josh Jacobs is an extraordinary running back, but the Chargers have Austin Eckler and Justin Herbert. I think it's just going to be too much for that Raiders defense. I'm taking the Chargers.
Yeah, the Raiders secondary is not that good, so I'm taking the Chargers. Like you said, they got Austin Eckler and Justin Herbert. Feel like they're doing really good. But the Raiders defense is... Chandler Jones get there with the pass rush, but their secondary is terrible. So, I take Chargers in this one.
I think the Chargers are going to win, but I could see the Raiders winning. Because Mike Evans is not going to be playing, or Mike Williams is not going to be playing. So that kind of eases the role of the secondary. They don't have to cover Mike Williams, but they do have to cover Keenan Allen.
I feel like Palmer has stepped up.
There's a lot of those guys since Mike Williams was injured and Keenan Allen was injured. A lot of those other guys have stepped up. So
they've done a good job, yeah.
Get them.
Sunday Night Football, we have Colts at Cowboys. Real quick, I got the Cowboys. Jeff Saturday proved on Monday night why he is not a head coach. Use your timeouts, bud.
I'm going to take the underdog in this one. I got the Colts. Okay. I feel like their secondary could play good at sometimes, but it could not play good off. The offense, I feel like they need to establish the run game more. You have a good running back for a reason. Jonathan Taylor, like they need to establish it way more than they did Monday night.
I'm gonna go with the Cowboys. I think I like how much they can do on offense, and I just think it's gonna be too much for the Colts. I mean, there's never going to be a dull moment with the Cowboys. There's too many pieces for them not to be. You know, they could put Zeke in, they put Tony Pollard in. That, you know, and both of those guys will destroy you with the run. I mean, you know, either guy can start on a different team and they'll destroy the team playing on the run. And I think CeeDee Lamb played amazing against the Giants. He was so good. That's the CD we're looking for to produce every week.
And our last game to wrap up this week of Pick'em is Monday Night Football. We have Saints at Bucks. I'm taking the Bucks. The Saints don't look great right now. They need to put Jameis in. I know they won't. Tom Brady's Tom Brady. They're going to figure out some way to win at home against the Saints. So I'm taking the Bucks.
I'm taking the Saints in this one. I feel like the Bucks, they won the first one, but I feel like the Saints, they always find a way to come back and win the second one. So I'm taking the Saints in this one.
I'm gonna take the Saints too. I just think the Saints they do always find a win against the Bucks. It's no matter what they always love and they always find a way to win against the Bucks. So I'm going with the Saints.
So that is it for our Pick'em segment, and that's almost it for our show. I do want to give you guys a little sneak peek. Next week we will have an extended show. We'll have a couple more guests on. We'll talk a little bit more soccer, and then we'll also bring in Oak Park Sports. Basketball, both men's and women's, kicked off earlier this actually the end of November, started December. So next week we'll get some player interviews and let you kind of hear what it's like on the Oak Park side. Again, thanks for joining us. It is
Ashton,
Jalen.
and Zach Kernell signing off for Fifth Block Sports.